Hey everyone, and welcome to Television from the Multiverse, the DC Comics TV podcast from MailFuzz TV. I am Peter, and that over there is Connor.
Yes, it is.
Oh, you actually seem vaguely ready for that this week.
I remembered you doing this last week, and I was like, oh, I don't know if you're going to try it again.
So now I'm going to go about 3 weeks when I don't do it, so that when I spring it on you again, we're back to the surprise factor.
Yeah, that's exactly how it'll happen.
But hey, so we talk about DC TV shows. And this week we're back to, we got 4 shows again. We got Legends of Tomorrow, we got Black Lightning, we got Krypton, and we got Arrow. Plus we're also working with the Young Justice, so we got another episode of that. For the next 2 weeks, because we have Flashback and all the other shows are still on, we're going to put Young Justice on a couple of weeks hiatus because we only have 2 weeks more of Black Lightning. Well, we'll have 5 shows in each week, and that's a lot. So we'll have Young Justice off for a couple of weeks, and then it'll come back after Black Lightning's done and back to normal. But that just means we're busier with other stuff next week, so that's fine. But anyway, so that's what we're going to talk about this week. We actually thought Flash was back this week because we thought it was a 2-week break, and then it turned out to be a 3-week break. So.
Yeah, but
sneaky buggers.
What are you gonna do? Other than be pretty annoyed, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. It feels a little bit hurt inside when there's a week with Arrow and not something else. When Arrow's missing but everything else is on, it's like, oh, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
But when Arrow's there and something else is off, it's like, oh, this is like the opposite of Christmas. It's Easter.
I don't know. You get free chocolate Easter.
Easter's not as good as Christmas, though. No presents.
It's not as good, but
you just get chocolate.
I like chocolate.
Yeah, but growing up, you get like a video games console at Christmas.
Yeah. Look. I'm just saying, your comparison of when Arrow's off, it's like getting presents, but when something else is off and Arrow's on,
it's a shit holiday. Yeah.
No, but that's not just a holiday. That's an actual punishment. That's taking the chocolate away from me.
I can't think of a holiday I like less.
I think that's my point. It's not a holiday. It's that's the problem.
It's a holiday, but it's one of those bad holidays. It's one of those like you're not celebrating anything. It's just like it's a holiday because for some reason the world's decided that day is, I don't know. It's like
it's you on Valentine's Day.
I knew we were going to make that joke. I was going to say it's like Father's Day when you're Batman.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Take a swing at back right at DC, and not just insulting my lonely.
I couldn't help it. What was I say?
I'll just go
low hanging fruit.
I'll just go die in a corner by myself because no one loves me. It's fine.
Yeah, no one even knows. It's fine.
Is this you getting me back? Because I said the other day in a review that I hope your children are going to be orphans. Is this?
I'll be honest, I'd forgotten about that. I'm just,
I'm only bringing it up because I'm still proud of that joke. I think that's a good joke where it takes a second to realise what I'm saying to you.
I think it was better because it worked in context of what we were discussing.
Oh, sure. It's less effective this time, but I'm still proud of it.
Yeah,
so
now you're just saying, go die, essentially.
Yeah. Most of the best jokes in this life are essentially variations of "go die."
Those typically are pretty good.
You know, when a kid's annoying, you say "go play on the road." You know that's one of my favourite things to say to a child. Anyway, we talk about DC shows on this. We do actually have some news this week. Before we get to the reviews, it'd be silly if we forgotten this because all of the shows we talk about got renewed. Well, not Krypton yet, because that's on different... But all the CW ones, they're all been renewed. Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Legends, Black Lightning, all of them are coming back next season. So this show will still be relatively...
busy.
Well, I was going to say, it'll have a point. It won't be pointless.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we're just going to be waffling on with all this old material. There'll actually be contemporary material to keep discussing, therefore keeping this show...
It's kind of crazy how many DC shows we're going to have like next year when we'll have, okay, so of these 5, let's assume Krypton again.
DC Service launches.
Yeah, well, at least one from there, plus an animated one, presumably. That's like 8 shows.
Yeah. My hope is that next year Krypton starts a couple of months later and it'll be a summer show because we could use a new show in the summer. That'd be nice.
That'd be nice, yeah. Maybe the DC Service can have something lined up for the summer too. Because, We've speculated before what might come after Titans.
Yeah, I
and
mean that's a
stuff.
whole service though, so I'd expect there'll always at least be one thing on that at any
Yeah,
given time.
take.
So if not two, which will really make us busy, but certainly the one thing. I expect one thing at any
Yeah.
given time. So no, hey, if they do have two things on at a time and that becomes a struggle to cover, that is an excuse if ever to drop Arrow.
It is. It is.
That's really like, you know what, too much to cover and what's getting dropped. It's the one we don't like. I mean,
No, it's true. When it gets to the point where there's so much, we get to reevaluate. You know, okay, so what's going? What do we really want to watch?
I mean, there's a reason why we don't talk about Gotham. Although,
Yeah.
that said, I mean, I still maintain that for a laugh, eventually that could be in the Smallville slot where it's like with the old, you know, when there's nothing else on, okay, we'll do an old episode of Gotham. I could see that being a thing in the future.
In a
But,
decade.
yeah, when Smallville's done. Which to be fair, I mean, nah, that's the thing though, because we'll have the summer, we'll have a bit of time over the winter. So Smallville, I mean, it probably will be about a season a year once you take away all the time where we won't be doing one. So I guess it actually will be about 10 years of Smallville. Oh god. Oh god,
What we
what
got
have we done?
ourselves into.
Maybe we could swap it out like, after we finish the season. Do another show, a season of another show instead, rather than just stick to Smallville for 10 years.
Maybe. Joe, I've been rewatching.
Because then
through
you'll be
Archer.
wishing your kids were orphans by the time you're done.
Yeah. I was gonna say I've been rewatching through Archer, as I mentioned on one of the other shows, and there was a whole extended joke about the Shazam show that went on for about 5 minutes and just kept coming back up because the organization in Archer is called ISIS, so they were playing on that, but it just kept coming back up, and I was like, yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah. I've never seen it. I saw a Captain Marvel cartoon, I believe, as a kid. I don't know if it was like a full series. I had a VHS tape that had like 3 episodes on it, so there was at least a season, or maybe at least just these 3 episodes. But there was a Captain Marvel cartoon of some kind.
I'm not familiar with it.
You know, Mary Marvel was there. Was it Billy the blue? No, not Billy's the main guy.
Yeah.
There's the blue one.
Oh God, I can't remember.
Yeah,
I'm not super into the
Freddy.
Shazam family. Yeah. Yes.
Freddy was in it. I remember that, and I assume Black Adam was there as the villain, but I can't remember. It's been a long time.
I never know if they do or not with these sorts of things. It's like he's the obvious one, but I always feel like
They could have went to Savannah. I mean, obviously he's the other big one.
yeah.
I mean, that's what they've got in the movie coming up, so it's not that ridiculous.
Yeah.
But anyway, we should. So we're happy about renewals, of course, other than Arrow, for obvious reasons. But the rest
Was
of
there
them,
any movie stuff we should be talking about this week?
movies. We don't do movie news on this.
Do we not on this? I don't know. I feel like we talk about the bigger ones. I can't remember if there was anything this week.
No, never on this. We always talk about the movie news, the movie news show, and then sometimes we'll maybe re-talk about it with Matt on the comics podcast, the DC comics.
I think this
podcast.
is it. We talk about it like in so many different places. I just assume that this is one of them.
I feel like this
Hello.
one's easier because it's strictly TV.
That makes sense. But I just assume, it's DC. I guess it's related.
Yeah, I mean, the Flashpoint's not called Flashpoint anymore, but it's still Flashpoint. That was the news this week in DC land. Anyway, let's get on to some shows, shall we? So we started off with DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 17. It's called Guest Starring John Noble. So, full spoilers for each episode as we talk about them, of course. And we've been excited about this one just based on the title. We wanted to know how exactly is this going. And early on in this episode, there's a little joke. Mick's, watching Lord of the Rings, and I'm like, Mick, this is the first time I can't relate to you, buddy. Like everything else, I get, but this is not so much.
I don't know. I like that. The mentions. I want to get back to Lord of the Rings. I'm like, I didn't know you read Lord of the Rings. It's like he just laughs it off.
Well, the thing is, look, he is writing a book, so I mean, it makes sense that he would be reading as well.
I mean,
And we've seen him
maybe.
read before. We've seen him read Dracula. He loves it.
We have. Lord of the Rings is a thick-ass book, though, for Mick.
It is. But what Joe, is funny though is the implication with this though is that it's a TV show that's on, because even though they mentioned Peter Jackson's involved, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, I suppose I never actually considered. They never actually mentioned this, but I suppose they could have went back in time to when they were making the movie.
It does. It pops up saying 1999.
Oh, does it? I didn't even
Yeah.
notice that. All right,
Yeah,
never mind.
yeah.
I assumed it was present day. I never noticed that caption. Fair enough. That answers that question. But yeah, they have John Noble, who's not actually in Lord of the Rings, I don't think.
Yes, he is. He is. That's his character. You see the scene.
I thought that was like a fake, remade up scene.
No, that's the actual scene.
Oh, right, okay. I've not seen
Yeah,
Lord of the Rings in like 15 years.
it's from the third one. He plays
well, 10
Denethor,
years.
who's Boromir and Faramir's father. He's in charge of Gondor.
I legitimately didn't remember this and thought they did like a scene from the movie like again, and they did like a cheap
No.
version because I thought it looked cheap. Is what I'm saying.
No, he has a huge part in that third movie.
I don't remember any of that at all.
Oh, he
And I love
has
John Noble.
some of the best moments in that movie.
This was before, of course, I knew John Noble from Fringe, but
Yeah, of course.
alright, I legitimately thought they made up the fact that he was in it, and the scene that he was on the TV, I thought that was just them recreating a scene that had someone else in the movie.
No.
Because I thought the wig looked really bad. And I thought, oh, that's just like a cheap knockoff because it's funny.
No, that's the scene.
Alright, fair enough. Well, in that case, I mean, admittedly, it's not that impressive because Warner Brothers own Lord of the Rings, but still, it's all the same. They showed a bit of footage from a big movie.
Kudos to it, right?
Yeah. So it's very funny. So the whole plot device here with the guest starring John Noble is that they want to try and because Damien Dark basically says, I don't want to lose my daughter because when the demon comes, when Malice takes over and it becomes, you see the shadow of the wings, a cool sort of little foreshadowing moment, literally foreshadowing. He's like, you know what? Okay, that's an anachronism, didn't work out, and we'll talk about what that anachronism was they tried to do. We'll get to that. But
yes,
he goes off, and he goes to the ledge, he's like, hey, I want your help. We need to stop Malice, I'm going to work with you. And of course that Sarah's conflicted about that, because, he did kill her sister, after all. That is brought up. But the whole plan is that, well, if we could... We've got all the totems, because he brings the water one that they stole in the first place. So, we've got all the totems, we could fight Malice. We need to just trap her, and we can maybe, take him on. And, he's like, no, she'll only do anything if Malice tells her. And it's like, well, how are we going to do that? And, Ray's like, I could shrink down and get inside Nora. And, of course, this is the second part of this joke where Damien turns around and he's like, not like that, Damien. Because the earlier one, he's like, oh, I had a connection with her in Germany. Not like that, Damien. Really funny, right? Especially funny because they're actually married in real life. That was really cracking me up.
It was, yeah.
But so he's like, I'll shrink down really. I'll go inside her ear and I'll speak to her and pretend to be Malice. And I love that Damien's like, wait, is this a joke? I'm the new guy here. Is this a joke plan or is this serious? What?
Yeah, I like how as the new member of the team. I'm like, yes, I want him on the team full time. This is so good.
But he's going to double cross them at some point.
And it was coming. I'm just like, I just want this. This is so much fun.
But credit's due, I actually thought the scene where him and Sarah talk, and he's basically talking about how he actually regrets killing her sister. I actually thought that was kind of an effective scene.
Can we talk about insane that this show has made Damien Dark one of the best Arrowverse villains, right?
Hold on. Right, I like Thawne more for sure.
That's fair.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So that basically covers Legends because we're not counting Savage. He was shit.
Malcolm, arguably.
Oh sure. I would probably put Dark above Malcolm at this point, though.
I would too now.
I think Malcolm's funny because of the whole "I used to be Ra's al Ghul" thing, but he's not seriously good.
No.
Who we had in Flash? Savitar, Thinker was good. Well, since he's changed actors all the time, it's been a bit rougher. But I liked when it was the first dude.
Yeah, I liked him at first, but he's kind of lost the appeal.
Second, Zoom was alright. I didn't hate Zoom.
No, Zoom's alright, but he's not top tier either.
Yeah. Supergirl. Well, this is where we get rough pat. Because Supergirl, I love Supergirl, but the main villains have never been the.
Yeah, he could come back
focus.
at the end of this season. Rain maybe in this conversation, maybe. But right now, definitely not.
Oh yeah, so actually now I'm thinking about probably by now, yeah.
Arrow's got Slade, and what's his name from last season is probably one of the best villains Arrow's ever had.
Prometheus.
Not Jake Gyllenhaal.
Prometheus, Vigilante last season.
Well, not Vigilante.
It's definitely not goddamn Diaz this season. Jesus Christ. I mean, he's also from Fringe, funnily enough, and I like the actor, but man, the characters which is funny because the first half of the season it was Michael Emerson, who was I knew from Lost and Person of Interest, and I really like him as well. But again, his character on Arrow, oofed.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the plan, because they hear Mick's watching Lord of the Rings, and they hear John Noble, and they're like, "Hey, that sounds quite accurate. Can we get him? Can we do? Can we get to him?" And so we have this scene where Ray goes and pretends to be like an assistant on the film set and like chaps on his trailer. Hey, John, we can run some lines with you. They'll change the script.
Change.
Yeah, and obviously he's like, this makes no sense. And I'd actually forgotten he's really Australian, right?
Yeah, me too.
I'd never actually heard his Australian accent, I don't think. So I thought, is he doing a bit here because he's in Lord of the Rings? And I was like, no, wait, actually, I think he's Australian. That I'm thinking about.
It took me because obviously the Australian and New Zealand accents are pretty similar, right?
At least to us, yeah. I mean, I'm sure to Australia and New Zealand are pretty distinct, but to us, they sound the same, basically.
Yeah. Like once I'm listening, I'm like, I can tell which is which. But at first, because I'd forgotten he was Australian. And I'm like, okay, he's in New Zealand. Is he just doing this because he's in New Zealand? And I was like, oh, no, I get it now.
Yeah. I love these weird little bits of candor where he's like saying how silly the script is in between lines. He's like, oh, this is bloody bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Going back to it. It ended up in a small part of the episode, but it was amusing all the same. And I like the silliness of the plan. This actor's real in this universe. We're going to use him to impersonate Malice to trick Nora Dark into a trap.
The absurdity of it.
Which they do in The Trapper. And of course, that was a nice callback as well to earlier in the episode where they're trying to, to make sure Damien doesn't do anything nasty, they're trying to, do a Constantine spell, the little ritual.
And he's having to help them out.
He's like, the ank's upside down, and Mick's like, no, it's not. just fighting with him. And he uses his powers to flip it, and then he's in the thing. All very amusing. In fact, I actually kind of like the moment where Ray's like, oh, go on, try and choke me. And he tries. He's like, you can't. So no, all that stuff was fun. So they do that as the plan. So that's where the John Noble element comes in. Of course, we also have, obviously not the person, but we do have a young actor playing a young. And here's the thing with how they set this up, because I'm going to criticize it slightly, just because I feel like they went out of their way for Rip Hunter to say it in a way that he would never actually say it, just so they could have the joke where we think it's Barry Allen. Because he says, oh, we need to save Barry. And much like Wally, I'm like, oh yeah, Barry. Barry's coming out of this Flash? And he's like, yeah, the Speedster, Grodd's always after a Speedster. He's like, no, not that Barry. I'm like, what Barry are you talking about? And I'm like, you would just say Obama. You would never say Barry.
No, I know, but the thing is, I buy that Rip's in just enough of a dick that he's done that intentionally to make the joke.
All right, okay. Yeah. But no, actually, honestly, it might be a terrible line, but I loved when Grodd said, "Let's make America Grodd again." That was amazing. That yes.
Oh, I know.
As he's got young Obama by the neck.
It's so cheesy and awful, but amazing.
I will say, I thought the actor playing the young Obama was doing a really good job with his voice.
I thought that too. It
sounded very Obama-like.
Yeah.
And obviously, there was lots of little digs, of course. When Sarah goes back for advice later about what to do with the plans and whatnot and who to trust, and she's getting advice, and he gives her this really thoughtful advice, and it's really good. And she's like, "I miss you," before she mind wipes him, so he doesn't remember anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, this is so on the nose, but I can't fault the message here.
I can't either. And also, it's just zany enough to be fun.
Yeah.
Like, political messaging aside, it's just fun and insane and stupid, and that's Legends at its best.
It's funny because Shield's had a couple of little digs at the current political climate recently, and Shield's a better show than Legends. Shield's a
Shield's a serious, proper show.
Yeah, very smartly written show. But arguably, the little political jabs almost feel more standouty in that, because it does feel a little bit on the nose when everything else is so seeped in proper drama. Whereas on here, it feels right to just reference something and
be really flippant with it.
So that was good fun. I like that too.
And also, Run Barry Run.
Run Barry Run. That did also crack me up. That was good. Yeah. So I liked all that stuff. And here's another thing, just to reference the Flash again. I like that when they realise Amaya's went off to try and stop Zambezi getting attacked. I actually really liked that when Nate was considering helping her, Wally's like, "Hey, Flashpoint happened. I saw what happened when Barry tried to do this."
Yeah. That reminds me, though, of something like a week or 2 weeks ago. I'm not sure exactly, where he mentions Flashpoint. And, Ray goes, "Oh, is that what we're calling that now?" I'm like, you know it was called Flashpoint. You've called it Flashpoint on this very show. It was really weird.
Did they call it Flashpoint before?
Yeah, they have done.
No, fair enough. I don't remember that, but I'll take word for it. But yeah, no. So they stop Amaya. And Nate, of course, is tempted not to. And I like some of the little moments here, because what I really thought was going to happen is that he was going to talk to old Amaya and find out that he actually is part of her life the whole time, and they didn't think he was, for obvious reasons. Like, she was going to reveal, oh, by the way, Nate, we were together for years, and, like, we adopted my daughter or something, something like that. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And maybe find out, oh, there is a future there.
You were this thing on the side.
Maybe, yeah. You were the milkman, as it were.
Yeah,
you came round to deliver stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, just stay for like half an hour longer than you're supposed to. But she doesn't actually remember him, and then they theorise later on it's because she wiped her mind. And I'm like, okay, that maybe makes some sense, and that adds into the whole idea. It was too painful to remember. Yeah, there was too much being in love and blah blah blah. And so we see old Amaya, and we get her daughter refused to take the totem, but then they convince her. And actually, one of my funny moments from Wally in this is when Nate basically said, okay, so, alright, well, you go deal with that, I'm going to go and help her while Amaya goes and deals with the daughter. And he's like, we're doing what now? Like, that really cracked me up.
So, my career is, she seems to have had those daughters at a relatively old age.
She does, because they're granddaughters.
Did she say that, though? Because at first she kept saying daughters. I was like, was that it?
No, they're granddaughters, because our daughter's like the one who's an adult.
Right, okay.
Now, admittedly, given that she's about 70, her daughter is still probably a bit young, given what age she is. But still, I mean, it's not as bad as my 10-year-old and my 4-year-old.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Because it's so much funny though. Because I was in 1992, I was like, oh yeah, I need to remember that it's only been 50 years since 42. Because now 42 feels like,
Yes, no, I'm with you.
It feels 60, 70 years ago now, but yeah, so you have to remember that. And I'm like, okay, now this tracks. Yeah, she should be in her mid-70s.
Yeah, should be old, but it's fine.
Yeah, it's not ridiculously old. Yeah, it makes sense. The old mage makeup, not amazing, but it wasn't terrible either. It wasn't like distracting me too much.
Far from the worst I've seen.
I mean, she did an okay attempt at trying to like do an old person's voice, but it is really hard to sort of do your own voice, but as old, because your voice does change when you get older, but it's kind of hard to mimic it or not mimic it because you don't know what it's going to sound like yet. But so
I get it. It wasn't bad though.
I did like the small moment though where Nate's like, I'll go and talk to the older you, and Amaya says, oh, you always had a way with her, and smiles and walks off. Oh, that was a sweet little gesture. And I actually really love that. So everything else goes on. They've got Grodd in a jar. Ray shrunk him down, and they have like the whole dark plan. They've got Nora, and there's this debate: do we let Malice out so we can fight him with the totems? Because we can't fight him if he's still trapped inside. And there's this crazy plan. Dark's going to help us and wield the death totem and blah 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 blah. All this stuff, and I like that all these plans are decided whilst Nate's still with Amaya, and then eventually Wally and Ray show up and are like, oh, and yeah, so we're going to do this, we're going to work with Damien Dark, and we're going to bring Malice out, we're going to fight it, we're going to use all the totems, we're going to help you, so we have to cause this acronym, because this acronym will let Malice free. Oh, and by the way, I met John Noble. It's like, oh yeah, they've missed all this. They've been gone the entire time.
Yep, I missed all the fun stuff.
So that was good too. Like I said, I do want to point out that scene with Damien Dark and Sarah, where he kind of like, I wouldn't say he apologises necessarily, but he is like, yeah, I didn't really love anything by that point. I didn't really understand what I did, so if I could take it back, I would. I'm like, damn, that is actually more sentiment from Damien Dark.
He regrets it, even though he doesn't outright, say he's sorry.
Yeah, and I thought that was, I thought it was a surprisingly effective scene.
I agree. It's not what I expect from this show, because like I said, I still just expect this the cartoony fun. Yeah. But it does come out with these moments. Every so often, every couple of episodes, even it's just okay. Here's a moment that stands out.
Yeah, and I've done a good job of splitting up the cast in these last few episodes and giving some more focus on us. Obviously, like Zari only had a few scenes this episode where she's had a couple episodes recently where it really focused on her. Between the time loop and the Elvis one, that was a lot of her in those episodes. Whereas this one, it was less of her, maybe less of Mick, but we had a lot of Nate and Amaya and a lot of Sarah. And obviously Ava, which is still going on, she finds out that she is the 12th clone that Rip has brought, because at one point she's like, what, so I'm replaceable, when I die you can bring another one? And he just gives this look and she's like, what number am I? And I'm like, oh damn. And I'm feeling pretty optimistic about her and Sarah now, because I feel like Ava will come to accept that she is who she wants to be, and she can... And
let's not forget, I don't think we mentioned it, she's been added as a series regular next season.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, that was just this week as well. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. At the
it
start.
came with the renewal, didn't it?
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Because I really like the scene with her and Sarah where Ava's like freaking out and she's like, "Oh no, we can't do this," and I've got nothing. I'm a clone. Like everything I thought I upheld is gone. I have nothing. And she's like, "You've got me," and she kisses her, and I'm like, "This is an effective little scene." Like this is working.
There's
for me at the
really
drama
small
level.
touch in it I like as well where Sarah tells her to trust her gut, and she's like, "Oh right, yeah, the same gut that got 11 others of me killed."
No, but I like this from a sci-fi concept. I love this existential crisis of like, can I be better? Can I be unique compared to the rest?
Yeah,
What makes me different? And I think the obvious answer to this is I'm going to assume that the one who's been flirting with Sarah this whole time has been the same one. It's not been like we've had them swapped out.
I think so. Yeah.
The reason why I'd say that is because I think what the point we're eventually going to get to with this is kind of like the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Is part of my love of that show is that the Slayers always died young because of their dangerous lifestyle. They always died usually by their mid-20s, if not earlier, because of killing vampires and demons. It's a dangerous business. But the reason why Buffy survives longer, the reason why Buffy lives, the reason why she's a better Slayer than almost everyone who came before her, is because she's not doing it alone. Because she has the Scooby Gang, she has friends, she has she has people around her who love her and help her fight. And I feel like the ultimate point here is that Ava will be better because she loves someone and she lets someone in. She maybe joins a team, a family, if you will, and that'll be what makes her better than the rest of the Avas.
That makes sense.
So I think that's a really nice potential thing they're going to go down.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So of course they let Malice out. Damien backstabs him immediately, and then he literally gets backstabbed by Sarah.
Yep. And then he actually, because I was like, you actually stabbed me in the back.
And I'm like, well, you just kind of earned it. I mean, you did just double cross though.
He doesn't really complain too much though, does he?
He doesn't, no. Because what he does is he actually lets a gorilla out to actually destroy the village, even though Amaya's daughter is like taking care of the warlords, and they're dealing with this. Which, by the way, old Amaya gets her memory back because she gets hit in the head.
Yeah,
just pointing out a little bit cheesy.
These flashy devices are not as foolproof as they think, is it? I mean, what happens if someone gives Obama a good tap on the head?
Joe, that's one time a gorilla tried to kill me, and it was like talking in my head. What?
Yeah.
So no, good fun. So it actually ends with a click. But keep in mind, this is our penultimate episode. The next week's the finale. So the final scene is actually Malice comes forth. Nora turns into Malice, and it's this big demon with wings, and it's like screaming, and it's like, oh shit, we're screwed. Cut to music.
It's a pretty cool design.
That's a cool design, and CG was not bad. TV CG, but still good for TV CG.
Yeah, I know. The showrunners mentioned that they actually, they ended up with budget left over that they weren't expecting. So they just poured because obviously they can't carry it over. So they just poured everything they had into the last episode, and it's the most they've ever spent on a single episode.
And if they, this episode or next episode?
Next episode,
yeah,
the finale,
Malice, yeah, that makes sense. No, because also if they don't use all their budget, then CW can think, we can slash it next season because you don't need that much. So it's in your bit interest to use it all if you got some left over towards the end.
But they're outright say it's like, we had some left over, so we just poured it all in. Why not?
That's good. That's good. And they had an extra episode. I mean, I assume they had a slightly bigger budget because they had an extra episode. But
yeah, it probably went up proportionally.
Yeah. So that's cool. So, and now I'm looking forward to the finale. I think if I was going to criticize the season, it'd be that the overall plot, while fine, only feels like it's ramped up in the last few episodes, as opposed to being, I mean, it's always been there. There's always been these little teases, but so much of it's felt kind of, I don't know, just not. It had the momentum behind it, which is not really. Yeah, it's not really affected the enjoyment of the show for the most part, though, because typically what they've been doing whilst it's been there has just been fun. But I'd feel like the actual drama, the stakes, the weight of it is not really hit until these last few. No,
that's true. But I would say I'm okay with that because typically this show has been at its best when it's just doing an idea for an episode.
No, I can't fault that. I'm just trying to be objective and just kind of look at it and say, okay, what if I'm going to critique what it's done this season, but honestly, it's probably an improvement on season 2, which we already liked a lot. So
yeah, and just as a on that, it doesn't feel like it's dragged out at all because it's had all these extra adventures. There's been so many that you can't really say they're filler, right? Because they feel like more the focus of the show. It's not like these are the filler distracting from that pesky main plot.
Yeah, no, that's
Whereas,
fair.
in like say Flash or Supergirl, there are objectively okay. No, this one just feels like filler.
There's been maybe 2 or 3 weaker episodes in the season out of 18, which
Yeah,
ain't bad. That ain't bad.
for that amount of episodes, it's been remarkably consistent.
Yeah. Because there was a reference to the Vietnam episode in this one, and I'm like, yeah, don't remind me of that episode. It wasn't a terrible episode, but it was definitely the weak point of the season.
One of the weak ones, yeah.
Yeah. So no, that's Legends. Legends. Get to the finale. We'll see how it wraps up. I liked the finale last season quite a bit. I do remember feeling the cliffhanger though with we broke time. There's dinosaurs in the city. I remember feeling that felt a bit abrupt, and then when we actually came out to season 3, and it was like, oh no, we fixed that in like 30 seconds before the music even hit. I went, okay, can we not do that again this year? Can we just have a proper ending?
That is a case of we had budget left over.
Yeah, but that's more random. It's like instead of just making the finale better, we're like, no, let's just come up with this crazy concept so we can spend all this money in the last scene.
That's what it is, right? It's like shit. Throw money into the effects, quick. Just throw stuff in.
Dinosaurs. Put a dinosaur in the scene.
Basically.
So we'll move on then to Black Lightning, Season 1, Episode 11. It's called Black Jesus, the Book of Crucifixion. So, full spoilers as well, again, as always. I usually say that every episode. For some reason, I'm getting into autopilot from almost cancelled standalone reviews and just saying that. Anyway, so, that's been a pretty good episode of Black Lightning.
It was.
Arguably the best, I think.
Okay.
I feel like I got the most emotionally invested in a couple of scenes in this one, and it was a really nice touch because I think what this one did is because obviously the plot here is that the vice principal, the one who's secretly working for ASA, sets up Jefferson, and the corrupt cops like plant some of the green light stuff in his car, and they come and arrest him in front of everyone, and it's this big moment. And I think what this show has done from the start is really sold us on who he is as a person, and that he cares about everyone, and that everyone, even if they end up like Lala, they still kind of respect him for what he tried to do for him in the past, and all of his students respect him, and so on.
Yeah.
So him being carted out of that station, and honestly, like Jennifer almost powering up to take on the cops because they're taking her dad away. It was like, like she shouldn't be like part of you kind of wants it. You're like, yeah, blast them, do it. Do it. And don't get me wrong, Nissa almost does it as well, but Nissa, I expect that from her because she's obviously had a bit of a, she not the way to say temper, but she jumps, she leaps
She's
in.
very hot-headed.
Yeah, and I expect her to come, running and threatening to like throw the punches, but Jennifer like actively not liking her powers and stopping them so far, but then like just clenching her fist and like you can see that she's about to let loose. It's like, Jennifer, calm down. But even more so than that, I actually really liked his students, like like forming a barricade at the door, saying nah,
Yeah.
not happening. And obviously he's right to say like, no, let them do their thing. Like, this is not the way to tackle this. Like, this will just cause more issues. But there is a moment of like, no, they're standing up for him, and I actually really like that. I actually found that scene really heartwarming.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's pretty good.
Yeah, so no, I really liked all that stuff. And obviously all the corruption stuff, because you know where it's going, you know what they're going to do. And you're sort of sinking in. I think another thing this one does a little bit better is from the start of this show, we were convinced that Henderson was dirty. We were convinced, so convinced, and
For quite a while.
yeah, and it wasn't really until they implied the other guy who's in this one, the mustache dude, was dirty.
What do I know him from? It was really bugging me
I
this
don't know.
episode.
Let me find out. I'll do some sleuthing.
I don't know. I feel like it was something small, but I was like looking at him going, I've seen you in something, and I'm sure I have because you see these people in a lot of little roles. But it was really annoying me.
Yeah, he's not had a mustache and other things. That's why I didn't try. He's been in tons of stuff. He was in the Hunger Games movie. He was in Prisoners. He was in Chronicles of Riddick.
This is it. I've just seen him around.
He was in
all over
I,
the place.
Tonya. He was in an episode of Stranger Things. He's been all over the place.
Yeah.
You've seen him
that
around.
Makes sense. Let's say I've seen him, and I'm like, okay, I definitely know this guy.
Yeah. So he's corrupt, and obviously Henderson knows this is bullshit. He looks into it. He tries to fight it. He tries to get Jefferson to open up, and Jefferson still lies to him. And he's like, I'm still going to help you, but I wanted to make this easier on me, but whatever. So I think there's a bit of like tension there, where Jefferson might at one point might finally like, I need to tell him, even if it's just to like show that we're not lying to each other for years more than we already have done, and stuff like that. And then on top of that, of course, you've got kind of the beginning, the repairs of Gamby and Jefferson's relationship. Nyssa try to talk him into like, hey, do you trust him? You should trust him. He's trying to help, and and at the end of the episode, he's like, okay, I'm not necessarily ready to forgive you, but I can't necessarily forget everything you've done for me. And he comes in and we end with them having dinner together as a family with Uncle Gamby there as well. Yeah. Which, by the way, I loved it because they're staying in his dad's old house. It's still got this shitty old TV. Because I was noticing when Lynn was like going through the channels, the clicker.
Yeah.
There's like these big chunky buttons. I'm like, man, this is ancient. So no, I liked all that. I think if I'm going to criticise the episode, and this isn't really a critique, I think it works well enough for the episode for everything else to happen that I do care about and I am emotional about. But I don't really care about the guilt of the vice principal all that much. She's been such a nothing background character, really.
She was there at the start and had and then I feel like we basically didn't see her for like 6-7 episodes.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I think it functions to make everything else work. It just, like, I didn't really care about it. When it was giving me those little moments where she was trying to, like, contact her boss and, oh, but it's not Black Lightning anymore, he's not a target, we can, and like,
let him go.
I was like, okay, I get what you're doing, this works, it functions as part of the plot, but I don't really care about her. Like, she's been a nothing character. Can we talk about Gamby's high-tech hologram technology?
Yeah, let's do it.
So part of the plan is, because he's like, okay, this is ASA's behind this, and he's working with Nyssa, because Nyssa's like, I'm going to go in and break him out, and he's like, hey, if you wanted to do that, he could Black Lightning his way out anytime he wanted, right? He could do that, but he's not. He wants to maintain his secret identity and so on and so forth. But if we convince the SA that he's not Black Lightning by like convincing them he's still out there, then maybe they'll drop this, maybe they'll stop looking. And I actually really like that ultimately this has no effect on it. It's actually just, it's purely Henderson and him, the other cop, he makes him rat on his superior by threatening him, and he solves it. And I do like that, because it makes him feel like he's more useful than he used to be, because up until now he's just been kind of there to like pass on information and be kind of frustrated about Black Lightning. Here it feels like, okay, now he takes the initiative, he's doing his own thing. It's a step towards actually, much like Gamby's the Alfred, it's him taking a step to being the Gordon of the show. Whereas before it felt like he was probably going to be corrupt. Although now I'm fairly convinced that he's...
Yeah, I was kind of leaning towards that he wasn't for the past while now. We had a turning point where we were like, okay, I guess he's not corrupt. But this really, nail in the coffin. Yeah.
So he has this projector for the hologram that he puts in Nyssa's suit.
Just before we get to this as well, let's point out, he says, don't worry, it's just a prototype I knocked up out of some spare parts yesterday.
Yeah, because he's saying he's worried it won't work because it's a prototype he's knocked up out of some spare parts. I'm assuming what he means, though, is not the actual hologram technology, it's the idea that it's mobile, it's on her suit. That's the part that he's knocked up.
Yeah, sure.
He didn't just design the hologram from scratch. But so, I like this because it's obviously pretty far-fetched, but it's not so far-fetched. There's a couple of things that just keep it in the realm of believability. I like that they actually play with the idea that if something gets in between you and it, they'll know it's a hologram. It'll cover the projection. I'm like, okay, that's a basic, simple rule that makes sense, and that she has to adhere to. And obviously, they're running down the street, and she has to, Hulk clap the car, basically, to so it won't go between them. And I'm like, okay, that's a little bit dangerous, but I'm liking, and although I especially like that at the end when Gamby, because it's like, oh, did you see about the self-driving van? I'm really proud of the self-driving van.
Yeah. So it's weird that no one questioned why didn't Black Lightning just shock the tires? Just runs after the van.
Same reason why we don't question half the things that happen in action movies.
I don't know. I just feel like there's a huge crowd. Like, that's the whole point, right? There's a huge crowd. Everyone's getting into it. I'm like, you're just sprinting after the van. Just shock it. Like that's like. Does no one go, do you know what? This feels a bit fishy. Maybe the ASA do, which is why they decide to leave him in there anyway. They're onto it. I don't know.
I don't know. But no, I like that. I like that they put in the defect, because I'm okay. I'll buy it a little bit more. I mean, it's still compared to the holograms we actually have. Which, when I say have, I mean they exist. You can't just buy holograms, I don't think, and like project them. We're not there yet. But like, it's a bit more believable that you've actually put in, because I feel like sometimes they'll do this thing. Oh, it's a hologram, but it magically can just be projected by anywhere. Like, no, okay, you're setting up the point of origin, and it can be interrupted. And okay, cool. Actually, and on that note, I feel like they intentionally made his run look a little bit weird. It almost felt like it was like kind of automated in a weird way.
Yeah, it felt like it was on a loop, didn't it?
Yeah, like it was stilted, yeah. So that, again, a nice little touch. I mean, it's still more perfect than it should be given real-world tech, but that's okay. We've got people with superpowers, and Gambi's building all sorts of crazy things. You know, it's not drawing a kid's drawing of 3 mountains and scanning it into a computer, and it then makes a 3D model of it.
Yeah.
That was a dig at this week's S.H.I.E.L.D., which is a fantastic episode. I am not criticising S.H.I.E.L.D. for anything other than one stupid little moment of tech. But anyway.
Yeah, that really bugged you, didn't it?
It's just one of those little things. I'm like, nah, this is bullshit. It's the same when you watch something with someone hacking and there's like a virtual CG world that they're going through in the computer, and it's like, piss off. Leave this shit in the 90s. As like Arrow, yeah. Arrow once had like, Felicity was in a hacking battle and she hacked so hard that the other guy's computer started to spark, and I'm like, Bill, come on.
Yeah, I remember that.
This is not like you're firing missiles at the other end.
So the only way I can even feasibly see that happening is so they've hacked in, they've got complete control, and then they overclock everything so it heats up, and you might get some smoke.
Yeah, that wouldn't make a spark though. This was like,
yeah.
You know, like, in a Star Trek show when the Enterprise is getting attacked, they'll have sparks like coming out of the computers randomly. This was like that.
Yeah, it was.
Baffling. Anyway, so that was the thing. And obviously, the whole arrest, we talked about the emotional parts. I think the other elements that really worked as well were when like the cops were like, "Oh, you're resisting," and he has to calm himself down and put his hands up. He's like, "No, I'm not resisting," because the guy pulls out the gun. Again, it's sort of like it's getting a little bit political, directly referencing things in the moments that we kind of recognise from the real world.
It feels payoff to like the first couple of episodes as well, when he was telling both the daughters, just stop resisting. Right at the start in the car.
Yeah. Yeah, because obviously he's angry, and then he has to talk to his daughters, and then obviously there's that one really bullshit moment where he just gets hit in the, they'd walk him to the cell, and they just for no reason basically start whacking him with the sticks. And it's like, come on. But again, it really sells this show more than any of the others. Obviously we mentioned Legends was, hinting at some political stuff this week, but it was very frivolous and just kind of like, let's poke some fun at it. This is way more, here's the harsh reality kind of mixed in with our serious drama.
Legends isn't pretending though that it's being serious.
Oh no, of course not. And I feel like Legends is making fun of it not in a way that's demeaning to it, because it's like no, we're making fun of like Trump and his stupidity, but we're not diminishing the danger of what he's up to. That kind of thing. So no, all that stuff was really effective, and of course him getting out is also effective. It was actually oddly really satisfying watching Henderson grab the corrupt cop and pin him up against the wall and be like, "You're under arrest." And it was nice. It was nice. Honestly, obviously I critiqued the emotion of the vice principal's guilt wasn't really there, but I still think that functioned well enough in the plot. My only real critique is that whenever it cut to the news footage, I thought the news anchor was really like stilted and robotic.
Yeah, and I did laugh at the old woman, going, he makes him call him Black Jesus. If a man could do that, he'll do anything. Yeah,
it was basically, here's a slightly racist old woman who just projecting.
Yeah, pretty much. I will say as a critique, not necessarily of this episode, but a follow-up to a comment we made last week, how when we realised how little we had left, and we were like, this has gone in super quick.
Yeah, no Tobias in this episode again, no Lala in this episode again.
Right, we got a mention of Lala, like when Henderson mentions him.
Yeah, he's basically saying, "Oh, were you connected to this guy? Is this your supplier?" When he was being accused of being a drug dealer,
right.
Blah blah blah.
And it's a little bit of a critique, I think, in that I've got 2 episodes left now, and I think the pacing is a little weird overall as a season. I don't feel like it's ramping up here properly yet. I think that's okay if they don't try and wrap it all up quickly. If they wrap up one thing, but then the other stuff is this is still ongoing for season 2, then I think it's okay, because they're saying this is just a full-on serialized show, and that's fair. Yeah.
Like we had story here that was good enough, and we didn't want to like truncate it. This is a 2-season story arc that we're essentially working through with Tobias, and if that's the case, then fine. If they do somehow wrap up Tobias, ASA, and Lala by the end, like after 2 more episodes, I'll be like, okay, this is
That was too quick now.
how they can achieve that and not make it feel rushed. Isn't so? I genuinely think at least 2 of those things are going to be still there next season.
So I'm just even thinking things like Jennifer's boyfriend, like that's just not been mentioned in a long time, and it was teasing all this stuff to do with him and Tobias, and
if anything, I could almost see they'll deal with maybe the SA, or maybe they'll deal with Lala. Even though it doesn't even know Lala's back yet, admittedly, but they'll deal with one of these things maybe in the finale. It'll be the victory, and then the final sort of tease scene. It'll be Khalil on the news, like speaking out against Black Lightning and stuff, and maybe that'll be setting up the main gist of season 2 from that. I could see that being where he pops back up again.
I hope Lala does play into it soon, because otherwise I would question why we brought him back this season. That almost feels like, okay, that's how you do it in the end of the season, is like, oh, he's back from the dead.
That's why I actually think that Lala is the thing that will more than likely be the one that is done with at the end of the season. I think they'll find out about him next episode, and then he'll be the big fight or whatever in the last episode, maybe. I think Tobias will be around before the end of the season again. I don't think we're not going to see him, but
Lala makes the most sense from a just as a structural point of view for the season. Well, that's where we started. That's where we finish.
Absolutely. ASA. I mean, I think they'll find the kids by the end of the season. They'll save the kids, but maybe not defeat the ASA outright.
Yeah, because that's another. They're moving the kids around to different locations.
Yeah, and they're shielding the energy signature so Gambi can't track them.
Yeah.
One of the kids dies in the containment cells, and they do find like a warehouse full of weapons that are anti-black lightning anti-black lightning weapons.
Yes.
And he basically just burns them all.
Pretty much. It was just I noticed like individually the episodes have all been very well paced.
Oh yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
Just like, okay, we've only got 2 left of the season, and
I think
it doesn't feel like I'm anywhere near the end of a season.
It doesn't. Right, it makes me wonder if it's like, I don't know. We actually kind of had like a 22 episode season, a story, and we thought, well, rather than sacrifice the story, we'll just split it in half and
just bank on getting a season 2.
Which they have done.
Let's be honest, Sun CW, that's a relatively
safe bet. It was a fair assumption. Because I think what the show is doing, it does feel different to other shows in its pacing, and it also feels different in... this episode had a little bit of Thunder stuff, but it was mostly the drama of him being imprisoned and then trying to, prove to get out, and all the moments of him getting arrested. Like, that was the core of the stuff, and I think the majority of the episodes have had good character drama throughout.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I think it's a better show than most of the others in that sense.
Yeah, it is. It's doing something different, and I like that it's doing something different because we have the 4 other shows, and we don't like Arrow, but as much as there's differences between Legends, Flash, and Supergirl, there are a lot of similarities as well. Like how light their villains are, how light the overall kind of tone is.
Yeah, it's I know when we get to the episode of the week. I've been picking Legends over this a reasonable amount. This is technically a better show.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of fun with Legends, which is why I choose that. Week to week, I enjoy it more, whereas this is a better overall show. And this feels more akin to, we've been talking about S.H.I.E.L.D. How, we mentioned S.H.I.E.L.D. is unarguably a better show than Legends. This is more on par with that than any of the other CW
Oh, sure,
shows.
yeah. I mean, I think S.H.I.E.L.D.'s the better show, but yeah, it's definitely more in that conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
Than the others are. Whereas the others are, clearly inferior to S.H.I.E.L.D., but very enjoyable for what they are in their own way.
Yeah.
To varying degrees, of course. Legends being the most consistent, seemingly, recently.
Weirdly.
After that first season as well, you wouldn't have thought it. But, so Black Lightning... I do genuinely think it's probably the best episode yet. I think the impact of him being arrested and seeing all the lives that are connected to him react to it, and not even believe it, just be even his students are no, this is bullshit. You're not taking our principle out here. That actually kind of touched me. I was like, yeah, this is actually kind of sweet. It's kind of like I won't get too spoiler, but it reminded me a little bit almost of Twin Peaks: The Return, and how by the end of the season everyone was helping our character because they all he helped all their lives a little bit, so they all came to rally for him. And it was kind of touching. I was getting kind of that vibe.
Okay, and they really played it nicely here, where at the start of the day he's just out there saying hello to everyone.
Yeah, he's everyone. He knows them all their names, and I don't think my principal in school would have known all our names. No way.
and mine she knew, maybe 10%.
Maybe I think she knew maybe the majority of the final year because they interacted more with the staff a little bit, and because the final year of school were tended to be more involved in helping plan things that the students were involved in. And
that's fair. Honestly, my principal was very hands off in terms of with the students. So she was there as management essentially for the staff.
No, I get you. But no, it's actually really nice. He knows all their names, and the one guy's like, "Oh, congrats on that spelling competition, whatever it was, whatever the kid done," and he sort of smiled back at it. I was like, "Oh, it just." Yeah, I almost wish I had I didn't have a bad principal. I mean, most of my teachers were pretty decent people, but I didn't quite have someone like this.
I had a bad principal.
Okay.
A lot of my teachers would talk shit about the principal
really?
all the time.
No, we never had that. Most of my teachers were decent people. I think there was one or two that I hated, but for the most part, I lucked out.
Yeah, I had some pretty good teachers overall.
Yeah. Because I was never really into math, but I really liked my math teacher, so that made math very bearable.
I had a different math teacher every year. Like my school just went through math teachers for some reason, so I never really knew any of them.
What's funny actually is I had a different math teacher for the first couple of years, and hated math, and then I got a better teacher. And even though I didn't necessarily like the subject anymore, I still enjoyed going to math because it wasn't a miserable experience. I honestly think the teacher can make a subject you don't really care about still an okay class to go to because it's just not like miserable.
That's fair. So. For my final years, my math teacher had absolutely no control of the class, so no one did anything. Which is really really bad.
Yeah. Were you in I don't know if this gets too insulting to your intelligence here, but were you in a lower class, or were you?
No, I was in the top one.
Alright, so was that, but that's why I
was in the top one. No one did a thing. The teacher did do something for 10 minutes and then go on, just get on with it, practice. And basically everyone just spoke for 40 minutes.
I feel like we did that as well, but it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
No one really cared. It was fine.
Yeah.
Although it was also good. You never checked homework. It was great.
Oh, I love it when you get one of those.
So everyone basically just stopped doing it.
Yeah, I remember that.
Anyway, so Black Lady is very good.
It is
what I'm saying. So it's good. And I'm liking the idea that when Jennifer does get in on the action, probably not a planned thing. It'll be like this where there's a moment. And
this is why I think it has to be Lala at the end, because that's got to be the thing that gets her in. That's personal to her.
Maybe he'll come after them again or something, because he'll be like, oh, that's what took me down, or
yeah, maybe.
Well, it wasn't really, it was Tobias, but it led to it.
Yeah.
But hey, so we will move on. We will move on to Krypton, Season 1, Episode 3. It's called The Rankless Initiative. And it's funny, obviously this is less impressive for this show, because it's only Episode 3, but I think I'll echo my previous sentiment and say this is probably the best episode of the show so far. Yeah.
No, I agree with that.
I think it was the most action-packed, it felt more focused, it felt like everything... there was constantly things to drive things forward, because it was, Lyta and our crew... Like, okay, you get into the slums, into the rankless areas, and you're going to weed out the terrorists, and you're going to take no prisoners, and throw out the civilians and make them talk about the people they might be hiding. But meanwhile, the main plot, of course, is that this thing they found last episode, this pod from Brainiac,
the probe.
It opens up, and Val's like, oh, okay, right. So, and I like how he can still interact with the rest of the technology in there, because it's he's part of the system essentially, so he can still interact with that. Because I laughed a lot when he described, this releases a little parasite that Brainiac uses to gather intel and send it back to him to see if the world's worth capturing, and it's very parasitic. And Adam Strange just is it gradually just steps behind Val, and Val just sort of turns around and goes, you realise I'm a hologram, right?
Yeah. I will say that does lead to probably my one major complaint with the episode.
Go on.
Is it was really obvious about who the parasite had gone for.
Oh,
with
it
the
absolutely,
way they played it.
It absolutely was. I actually I was surprised it actually went into okay, who did it go after? Because I thought because we have this explanation at the start, right? It's okay, so someone found this and they open it up. So okay, let's open it and see what we can do, and it's empty. It's like, oh shit, it's already got someone. I was actually really impressed that it went 3 days earlier and we got the build up and the person finding it, because I actually thought that when they were first talking about this, oh, this is going to be like a 3-episode mystery of like who's been taken, who's been taken over, who's a double agent, who's the mole, essentially, but in a more sci-fi way. And so I actually really liked when it just went, oh, 3 days earlier. Oh, here's this woman who's like hard on a lot with the kid, and she's doing salvage, and I like the scene where she finds it. It's very very Alien, and as in the movie Alien, kind of when she's like finding it. I was digging all that, and I was like surprised when the show are selling it, and it's like, okay, so it's already been used. Who did it use along the way? So it's either her, maybe the guy she sold it to.
I feel like it played up the mystery a little more than it should have done.
That's fair.
It was like no, you just introduce this woman, you give her a scene with Kem,
it's very clear,
with the kid.
Yeah.
It's like I get it, I know where this is going.
It's very clear, yeah. I think outside of that though, it worked pretty well.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Honestly, once she got taken,
Turned,
and her arms go green. See, and obviously she goes to this communication center, and by this point, the Sagittari, is that what they're calling the army?
Sagittari? Yeah, I think so.
They're on the ground, and one of them who clearly didn't like light is we don't shoot innocent people, no shots fired unless I say. And it's almost kind of thing. She did this really dark thing, and her husband to be pulls her up on it, but you have to be strong, you have to be strict. But Light is like, no, I did that so that I can hopefully make things better. Her intentions are still very good.
Yeah, she says the exact same to her mother. Where she says it in front of it, or the leaders. And her mother's like, "What the hell are you playing at?" And she's like, "No. I just killed a man for the right to open my mouth. I'm gonna make sure I'm heard."
Yeah. Because Vex is standing there, and you can sort of tell that her mother's embarrassed. Stop talking! You're embarrassing me in front of the leadership.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's good, but. And Seg, gives a shit. So you didn't warn us. You usually trust me and you tell me about these things, but she didn't. Because she's playing it by the book, and she arrests the officer who does this. Because later on, Vex is panicking. The only arrest we made today was one of our own. What's happening?
Yeah.
God damn it! And it's a nice little moment because the crowd kind of cheers for her almost. They
actually respect her a bit more because it's like, okay, no, she is on our side. It's like, okay, that guy, okay, yeah, he was a dick, but she's on our side. She's trying to do the right thing at least, even if she has to come through and do this.
So, and later Seg goes to her and says, "Hey, I want to try and save the woman who's been taken over." Someone, and he doesn't explain everything. He obviously is very vague about it, but he's like, "Hey, you've got that grenade thing that only harms electrical systems, doesn't harm organic life." And she's like, "Yeah, but that's military grade armaments. I can't just hand that over.
Give that out. Yeah,
you're going to have to give me something to convince me here." And it doesn't really. It's just you trust me, right? You trust me. And she does hand it over, but see when he goes in that room, and the pipes have come out, are connected to her back, and I'm like, oh man, this is super Brainiac. I was getting giddy.
I know.
And then she starts talking with the Brainiac voice, and I'm like, oh, I'm so into this. Because obviously the flickering lights is very dark, kind of horror atmosphere when he goes in, and he does get the grade off eventually. But it's like, no. Obviously, the key point here is Brainiac says, "Oh no, this world's right for the taking. I'm coming."
Yeah, as they already point out, it doesn't matter. She was the transmitter, so it was too late.
Yeah, so it's good fun. Actually, one small critique I'll make is at one point when the Sagittari first come down into the slums, and Adam Strange is there. Seg turns around and says, "Hey, take the parasite thing, go to the fortress and figure things out." And he's like, "How do I do that?" It's like, "Figure it out." And then it just cuts to him in the fortress. I'm like, don't tell me that's a hard thing to do if you're just going to cut to it.
They were going, okay, this area's on lockdown, and then he's just gone. I'm like, okay.
They made it. See if they just never said that. If they just implied that since going back and forth a couple of times with him in the past, he can just now do it. Seg's shown him how to do it. It's fine. I'd have been fine. Okay, I'll accept it. Whatever.
Yeah.
But because they specifically said, "Oh, how am I meant to do that?"
Yeah, and they made a point of telling us that, okay, his Zeta Beam stuff is not working right now.
Yeah,
so he didn't just
here.
Teleport there either.
Exactly, yeah, he's stuck here. Because he's like, Val, do you want to take a look at this and see if you can fix my thing? My gizmo that I made? So, no. But no, I was digging all that. And obviously, we actually do get to see Brainiac again at the end. He's coming.
Yeah, he gets a little line.
Gets a little line, and it is a dude in makeup. Obviously, the pipes are all CG and stuff as they're going away, but that is a dude in makeup.
And it
the
looks
ship.
fantastic still.
In fact, that was one of the things.
It's always going to look great. That's the good thing about it.
Yeah, that was one of the things I loved as well. Actually, when it cut back that 3 days, I loved that it started at his ship, and you see, because it reminded me of like the start of Predator or something. You just see the little beam of light going from the ship down to the planet.
Do you know what it was as well? The way it was, because it was like basically a still of the ship, and then it cut out, and then it cut out again, and it almost tracked like a sequence of panels in a comic.
Yeah, it kind of did. Also, did you notice at one point it went through a nebula that was suspiciously shaped like the Superman emblem?
I did, yes.
Yeah, I noticed that. Very sly. But subtle enough that it's not like distracting. It's like,
it's a little thing.
Yeah, cute there what you did, but yeah, fair enough. No, I dig that. Obviously, the stuff with Vex is like terrified of disappointing Rao, the voice of Rao. So he's like terrified of telling him that they failed, and his daughter's like, hey, like, why don't you just lie? Because she's very good at that, of course, and she's still trying to play Seg.
Yes, who is not very good at that.
No, he's not. That was a little running joke that he keeps saying things, and she's like, oh, that was a little bit better, but you're still lying. It's fine.
Yeah.
So no, I thought it was very focused. I liked the whole action set piece of her getting in there. I like that now Lyta has an idea that there's something going on. She sees the body of the woman. She sees that there's something weird going on here, and he tells her, "Hey, my grandfather was right. There's alien life coming, like, and it's a threat." And she's like, "Oh, you have to tell the council and everything." And he's like, "Nah, I've seen what happened last time someone tried to tell them."
Yeah. Maybe once I can prove it a bit more.
Yeah. So interesting stuff. Obviously, they're going to try and save her, but as they point out, like, the Brainiac tech's basically what's keeping her alive at this point. Like, they take that out, she's basically gone. And that's when we go up to the Brainiac ship and see that he's, the big guy's coming. He's coming.
So good.
So no, I really liked this episode. I felt like more than last one, there was very little downtime where I felt like, oh, this is just it's maybe dragging out the drama of the romance a little bit or whatever. Here's a little design touch I like. I noticed it mainly in the scene where they were emptied out the old commander's locker for Lyta. But I noticed again in the bar later on is the design of just like the, what we would maybe just have like the cross hatching of like a gate. They have like the sort of like different size blobs in between the lines, right? And I was like, oh, that's really cool because, I mean, I'm sure it's been in the comics, but it really reminded me of the design of Argo City in the Supergirl movie. And I thought, that's a nice little subtle thing that, again, has been taken from past interpretations of Krypton. And I really like that. That's a really nice little touch that's how they weave like structures out of that sort of design.
Yeah, no, it is nice. I really like the design of the helmets for the Sagittari.
Oh, yeah, the troopers, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was just such a really strong, intimidating look.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention the woman when she's taken over by Brainiac tech actually like kills like 3 soldiers. She just like goes super strong.
Grabs one of them by the throat, throws one of them away.
Oh man, I'm obviously it's a 10-episode season, and I feel like we're going at a good pace right now. I feel like this has been a nice build up so far. I'm really curious as to how much this season's going to encapsulate in terms of Brainiac getting there. What happens when he does? Does he take over more people so there's an army of them? What?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
It's exciting.
It's gonna be good. And there's a lot of small things I like. Strange, not with the idioms. He's saying things, and they're kind of just like,
oh yeah, it's not a hot dog. Them's just like
what? And then he tries to do the fist bump.
Oh, that made me laugh so much.
And they play it as like, what the hell are you doing? And he's like, all right, I guess you don't do that here, and walks off. And then the two of them just fist bump.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Got it.
That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
That really cracked me up. I was digging that.
Yeah, fist bump is universal.
I'm surprised how much I'm enjoying this show, and I'm glad because episode 2 wasn't bad. Episode 2 was fine. It continued some stuff we liked. That brought in the hologram stuff, and this idea of the text just getting to that point. But I think I was a little bit worried that maybe it won't get as exciting again as the first one. But I feel like this one was more exciting than the first, and I'm like, okay, I'm glad that we can still bring that excitement level in, and I'm like, okay.
I still can't get over the fact that this show is good. I've spent so long just
expecting it to be terrible.
Yeah, expecting to just write it off as just shite, and then here we are. It's weird.
Yep, we like Krypton, so hopefully sci-fi renew it. so we can get
Yeah.
more of it. That said, it sounds like it'll be a fairly self. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll have a cliffhanger at the end, but at least the Brainiac plot I expect will be wrapped up at the end of the season.
I assume so, but from what I've seen in interviews, they're talking about the show as if they've got ideas beyond the season at the very least. So,
oh yeah, we were thinking bring in the other cities next season. If we're introducing Thanagar this year, maybe that'll be more of a focus in season 2.
Yeah.
Actually contacting other planets and like forming a diplomacy of some kind.
So much to do.
Yeah, a lot of potential. So Krypton's good, shockingly.
Yeah.
Well, that will take us on, unfortunately, to Arrow, Season 6, Episode 17. It is called Brothers in Arms. So, see, here's the thing, right? This episode is arguably one of the better episodes it's had in a while, because it remained focused about one core conflict. It dealt with it. And obviously, I do think Amel's a decent actor. I think Ramsey, who plays Diggle, is a decent actor. And it's about them, like, it's Diggle being like, oh, I wanted to be the Green Arrow, and Oliver's basically decided he doesn't want to give it up anymore. And it's like, okay, why is he mad at him? And they start bickering at each other, and Diggle goes off to talk to Lila, and it was during one of those scenes actually where he's complaining about everything that Oliver's doing and the choices that he's made. And I actually joked as we were watching this, hey, well, he's not killed his brother, Diggle. Hey, maybe we're going to hear about that. And funnily enough, it came up later on. And because it came up, we started laughing, because even though it was right at a really tense moment.
It was supposed to be the most dramatic moment, like, of the season, probably.
Yeah, no, it was, because basically we have this, and because this is the thing, they make this scene feel like it's going to be a big deal, because the scene starts with Diggle asking, Felicity to give them the room, and they're under the Arrow base, and the camera starts doing this 360 around the base, like, centre.
Yeah.
And, it's this like, the two titans are eyeing each other up, but it's just a conversation at first. And they start going, oh, well, I thought I was mad at you because you didn't want to, you want to be the Green Arrow still, and I'm not going to get to be the Green Arrow. It's like, but it's actually about the decisions you have made. It's about all the things you've done, and you keep running people out of your life. You leave a trail of dead bodies, whoever you come into contact with, and Oliver starts hitting back. And then, of course, Diggle, what is it he says that it goes really far? It's that his son's mother's dead, I think.
Yeah.
You got his son's mother killed, and he steps in, and I thought, oh man, that was dark, Diggle. And then he goes, yeah, but at least my trail of bodies doesn't include my own brother. And I'm like, holy shit, he just said that. And we started laughing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Diggle has a tear, and then the punches start getting thrown, and they start beating the shit out of each other.
Genuine criticism, because, we're laughing because it was just funny to us, but the scene itself wasn't that bad for that stuff.
No. Honestly, the scene itself is one of the legitimately best scenes that Arrow's had in a long, long time.
Right up until the punching, when it is literally just stand there slugging a punch back and forth at each other. Nothing happens. It's really poor choreography.
Well, eventually they start throwing each other into glass and stuff. It does evolve from that.
It does, but it's quite a long... It feels like a really long time of just, okay, a couple of punches back and forth. The camera's just still watching it.
Yeah, that's fair. But that's the main conflict, and then by the end they kind of we have to trust each other, and they try and take down Diaz, and the other stuff is Black Siren is like secretly in contact with Diaz still, and Diaz thinks she's still completely on his side. And my problem with this is that, okay, if you want to do the whole thing where she might be redeemed and she might become good, I'm at the point now where you actually have to start going down that path. I'm actually just annoyed that you're still teasing that, oh, she's still bad, she's still evil. Yeah,
because that's the part of the plot for this episode for her is she's like, well, what am I going to do? And they're like, well, you're Laurel, just pretend to be her, just slot right into her life where you left off.
Yeah, technically you've got a law degree. If you just read up in that, you could go be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's the thing. And yeah, and obviously they're like, oh, she's still evil, but she's actually still reading up on the law as if she's actually taking the idea seriously. Like, she may actually want to try and pretend.
She actually has all the books there. She's reading them. She's not just saying it.
So, it's just one of those frustrating things. The core conflict in the episode is good. It goes a little bit back and forth. I feel like there's maybe one too many times where they have a bit of an argument and then go out on a mission anyway and then come back and fight again. Like
it gets to a point where it just feels a little bit petty.
Yeah. The actual big scene where they actually end up duking it out is actually a pretty well done scene, but it goes a bit back and forth too much. Meanwhile, here's something I'm going to criticise. So in the last episode, Curtis like asked out this cop. They had the hots for this cop, and they've had 3 dates in the meantime. And there's a whole thing in this one where they start talking about vigilantes. Obviously, he doesn't know that he's Mr. Terrific, and he says, "Oh, I don't like vigilantes. They go outside the law. Blah 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 blah." He's very anti-vigilante. And then Curtis is worrying about it all episode. And then eventually, of course, he ends up finding out. And then we get a scene at the end where he's completely flip-flopped his opinion because all the good cops got fired because they didn't go along with all the corruption. And he's like, "I just got fired for being a good cop. So, maybe my idea about vigilantes was wrong." And well,
it was really easy, wasn't it?
It's really easy. And don't get me wrong, the logic kind of tracks. It just feels so easy, simple, one little... okay, getting fired is not a little thing, but, just very quickly, it's not like he's confused or conflicted. He's just over there smiling, which is my other problem with this, is that this actor has the charisma of an uncooked potato.
Yes, yeah.
He is terrible.
Do you know what the real problem with this is, though? Even beyond the actor in the script, is that we only learnt that he hates vigilantes this episode.
Yeah.
So him coming around on it feels really quick. It has no weight to it because it's like, okay, he says he hates them, but then I guess he didn't really hate them. I just assume he didn't actually hate them and they were just overselling it.
Yeah, there was some mild amusement with Dinah, like, I should have an excuse to leave and, slithering out the room. No, that was kind of amusing. But honestly, the actor, like... I said as we were watching, he should be doing like sofa commercials. That's what he's made for. He can like smile on the couch as they said, "Buy your sofa today, discounts." He's that guy. He's the model for the sofa. He's not an actor.
I don't know why they have models for sofas. Just let me see the sofa.
Because Connor, how do you know what it looks like when it's functioning as a sofa if you don't see someone sitting on it?
Because you don't anyway. You sit on it. You don't see yourself sit on it.
It was rhetorical. I was making a point. I was being sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm just saying, those adverts really annoy me. It actually bothers me that they do that.
Do you know what it is? They think if you see a good-looking person sitting on the sofa, you're like, oh, good-looking people like this sofa. Maybe I should get that because good-looking people like it.
The sad reality is that's probably what it is.
That's probably what they're going for. If you want to sell me a sofa based on good-looking people, show me them having sex on the sofa, and then I'll be like, okay, I see the practical use of the sofa now with a good-looking person. I now hope that I'll have a good-looking person on the sofa to have sex with. Maybe that's the hope.
Yeah.
But if you're going to do it, don't cheese it up. Don't pretend that that's not what you're doing. Just have them smiling. No. Have them this sofa won't creak when you're having sex. It's sturdy. Doesn't creak and make noises. It's a stealthy sex sofa.
We went down a path here that I wasn't expecting.
Well, this is what happens when you have Blandy McBlanderson in bland hot cop role. Do you know what's funny about this? Is that we'll often criticise when there's like a love interest who's just there to be the love interest. And I think this is just it turned up to 11. Like, there's nothing to this character. He is just Curtis's love interest. Which can be fine to a point. They can just, I think it was fine when it was his husband, and he's like, okay, that's his life outside of this stuff. But because we're actually spending time in this, which would be fine if we actually had a character to spend time with, but he's not. I think
it's particularly weird where we don't really spend much time outside of the vigilante life for anyone really anymore. Like Oliver, we barely even see him. We get little bits of him as the mayor now, but that's it. Like, I can't remember the last time we saw his kid properly and had that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'm not criticizing. I don't want more of it.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just saying, we're not even seeing that stuff now. Like, they're just going all in on the vigilante side of things.
Yeah, to be fair, like, I'd rather they didn't, because almost all the times they've done it in a long time have been terrible. Yeah. Like, I don't want Oliver's kid. I don't want Dinah's relationship with this asshole that's vigilante now. I don't want, like, these other
Diggle's
things.
Kid.
Diggle's kid. Yeah, we don't even see Diggle's kid. That kid.
I don't think that the kid's even been mentioned in a while.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like, just you can have them mention they have these things outside of the vigilante life, but we don't need. If you're not going to do anything with it,
don't show us.
Then don't show
Don't
it.
bother.
Yeah, it's fine. Because let's be honest, like, this guy's been set up so that he can die or whatever.
I still think he's going to turn out to be corrupt in some way.
Very possible. He's a mole. He's there to spy on Team Arrow. That's what it is. Or the B team. But we should mention, Diggle decides to leave Team Arrow. He's not joining the others, though. He is joining Argus with his wife. And this can't end badly. They're not going to fight all the time because his wife's now his boss. That's not going to happen.
Yeah. Do you know what? I saw a post on Reddit about how overused this trope is on Arrow now. This is the 12th time someone has left the team.
It happens all the time. It actually bugs me so much how much that the team's changed every season.
Like 12 times. One of them was when Oliver and Felicity left the team.
Yeah, but this thing, there was a time when the team, other than the original three, were Thea, Laurel, and
Roy,
or Roy and Laurel without Thea, whatever it was. But and Sarah was there for a while. That was a time, and now it's like a completely different set of characters. Those are all gone.
That's it. We've had Thea leave the team. We've had Roy leave the team. We've had Laurel. No, do you know what? Laurel never left the team. She just died.
She's just died. Fair enough.
I think she might be the only one who didn't, because Sarah left the team. Felicity and Oliver left the team when they drove off into the sunset that season finale.
Diggle's left and came back, I'm sure. I'm sure he's left and came back already.
Maybe.
Yeah, but remember, the end of season 4 or 5 was every single person left the team, and Felicity walked up to Oliver and said, "Don't worry, Oliver, I'm not going anywhere."
You're right.
Everyone left the team the end of that season.
So and then last year we had Ragman left the team. Evelyn betrayed and left the team.
That was Evelyn and Ragman were so just non-factors. It was weird. Ragman especially, he just left, and I assumed that he's leaving because he'll come back with a vengeance later in the season. He's just never been mentioned again.
No, he's gone. Obviously, this season we've had them all left the team. Oliver left the team earlier this season. Now Diggle. Do you know what? This season, the only person who hasn't left the team is Felicity. I just realised that. I think that's actually true.
It's Guggenheim's sick joke. Sick idea of a joke.
It is.
So yeah. So I still didn't really enjoy it that much because it's Arrow, but I'll give credit where credit is due to the scene where they get angry and fight, because it was actually a relatively well done scene for the most part, and they actually brought up things that I didn't think they'd bring up. Yeah. So fair enough.
And the problem is the core conflict is really good as an idea. This idea of, okay, no, Oliver, your leadership is poor. Maybe you're not cut out to be leading the team. Maybe you should be just, in the field doing that stuff.
Yeah, because Diggle's whole thing is just splitting your time between being the Green Arrow and the Mayor, so you're doing a shit job at both.
Yeah, but I think even the point is, it's because he's distracted, then he's making the wrong decisions. If someone else is making the decisions and he's just out there following the orders, maybe that would be better for him. Maybe he'd be better at that right now.
Do you know what, actually, a little moment I like, because obviously the corrupt captain, or the DA, accuses him of being the Green Arrow. It's oh, you get Green Arrow, because he basically knows from Diaz.
It was the DA, yeah.
And Oliver, just sort of shrugs it off and says, "And hey, if I was the Green Arrow, you wouldn't want to be in this room right now." And I'm like, oh, that was a dark little, threat.
It was, wasn't it?
And I'm like, you know what, Oliver, just beat the shit out of him right here and now.
Yeah. So I did notice, though, we have not yet had a fight of any sort, really any confrontation, between any of the teams and Diaz.
Sure.
He's kind of just been off doing his thing. They've gone after his operations and his facilities, but there has been no instance of them versus him in any capacity.
The villains, that sort of situation this season's been really weird, because Prometheus was silly, but it was very defined and it was definitely a focus for the whole season. This year we had Caden James, and that was a more notable actor. Now we kind of switched, and the problem with Diaz is that he was just kind of this other grunt when he was introduced, and now it's I don't really buy him as this big threat. He's just kind of uninteresting.
He is.
It's bizarre. It did a Marvel Netflix move. It switched villains halfway through the season.
It did, and we gave them shit for that as well.
Yeah, so I don't know what to add to this, but Arrow's Arrow, I guess.
I just actual criticism for once, other than just calling it shite.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it is, but...
I love when he mentioned the brother, though.
Do you know what I loved? It was such a... I got into the... Obviously, I was drunk, obviously. Yeah, I got into the almost the soapy drama of it. Because he hits out, it's yeah, well, you got her killed. And he stares at him and goes, yeah, well, you got your brother killed. And you go, ooh, it's hitting back. to get into it like that. It was quite fun for that element of it, even though it was supposed to be really serious.
Oh well, we shall move on to Young Justice, Season 1, Episode 22. It's called Agendas. This is a Superboy-focused episode that is intercut with a subplot with the Justice League, as they are basically deciding on possible new members, or even getting rid of some of the current members, depending. A couple of the current members are brought up in conversations, like, should we really have Captain Marvel or Dr. Fate here, given that he's really a kid and he's like kind of forced, Zatara to, become him? It's questions. I liked that it was kind of run by the trio, the Trinity, and then everyone else was out to vote, and obviously it had like the best joke this show has ever had. When, who is it? Is it Wally? Not Wally, sorry, it's Barry, because Wally's Kid Flash is now. But Barry, see, I'm thinking of the Justice League show in my head.
You are, yeah.
But so Barry's like, hey, well, we could use more muscle. Here's and that was another Green Lantern. There's Guy Gardner. His image comes up, and both John and Hal and unison are like, no, and then Barry's like, but he can do this, and then both in unison interrupt him and go, no, again. I just laugh so hard.
I love this, even though Guy Gardner is my favorite Lantern. I still love this joke because it plays.
Guy Gardner is my least favorite Green Lantern, so this was hilarious to me.
It was still hilarious, don't get me wrong. Just the reactions back and forth. It works so well.
And they bring up the Titans members and they dispute various other things. There's a little joke at one point where like, oh, there should be more women in the team, and like Green Arrow and a bunch of other guys are sort of like looking around like, what? But they bring up some of the Titans members and like, well, Roy's 18 now. Like he technically is an adult, but is it a simple case of turning 18? Superboy's technically only a year old, but should he have to wait 17 more years before he's allowed to join the league?
And Miss Martian's like 48.
Technically, yes. So it's like, so how do we judge this? And it's like, well, who do we trust? And we don't actually get to see who the decision is, because they sort of like, it cuts away, it comes back, it's like, okay, so we've all made a decision, we all agree. And that's where we cut to credits, and I'm like, okay, so we're bringing this back, obviously, like next episode or whenever.
Yeah, when they go and presumably talk to the team about it.
Yeah. I don't know, I mean, obviously you might know this from seeing it before, but I almost get the suspicion they'll actually maybe name the team from this. Like, they'll, like your Young Justice or your Teen Titans because you're the Justice League in training. This is your...
That makes sense.
Yours kind of thing. I don't know. But
it is kind of weird that we're like 20 plus episodes in and they haven't actually named the team.
Yeah, it's kind of bizarre.
It's weird that like Wally or someone hasn't made a reference to it yet. Like, we should have a name.
Yeah, Wally especially is the one who should be doing it.
Yeah.
But so we see a bit of Miss Martian and Wally at the start. It's Thanksgiving. They're making food and whatnot. Wally, of course,
Zatanna gets a little upset.
Yeah, because the first Thanksgiving without her dad. But the main plot, of course, is Superboy, who is contacted by Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because I wasn't sure if they would go down this path in the show. Because obviously I knew this from the comics, where this is leading. But he's like, hey, Project Canvas is at it again. They've got another super clone. You may want to go down there and check things out. And he does, and Guardian's there, and Double X is there, and he's there, he's and they're like, no, there's nothing else like that here, we're doing good things now, we're trying to be on the right path, and the scientists are all about this. But he does eventually find a super clone who does have all of Superman's powers, and he's even angrier than he is. And it turns out that this is a clone that has no human DNA. This is purely Kryptonian, but in doing so they've kind of made this monster version.
And not just that it's a monster, I think, as well, it looks like it's trained to go after the symbol, because it's whenever it sees the S on Superboy's shirt that it reacts.
I actually like that when he rips off, or his shirt ripped off, he heat visions this S onto his chest, but because he does it in a mirror, he actually puts it on backwards. Yeah. So it's kind of like, oh, is this like their take on Bizarro almost? Like,
yeah, which is, again, that is one of the versions of Bizarro, is the clone gone wrong.
Absolutely. I wonder if he'll deteriorate over time and he'll start to look more like actual Bizarro. I can see it. But of course, the big reveal is that after he fights it, and we find out all these other experiments are living in this underground city and all the rest of it. Lex just wanted to know where all of the experiments have been going missing. So he's like, okay, I found out. And he's like, hey, Superboy, didn't you question who the human DNA was, like, in your sequencing? And he's like, yeah, you're basically my son.
Yeah, you're as much my son as you are Superman's.
And then when Connor gets angry about this, he goes in to grab him, and Lex just like says a phrase, and it just the red sun, and he just like it's like time froze for him, and he sort of snaps out of it. And he's just holding a tie. Like he made them like basically go catatonic for 10 minutes.
However long, we don't know. Could have been
I
an
don't
hour.
know. Yeah, but however long it took for him to like sneak away and drive off.
Yeah.
So he's got some sort of kind of like when someone's hypnotized and they've got a trigger word. He's got like some of those commands for Superboy.
Definitely.
So that'll be something.
And it begs the question: are there others?
And of course, it neatly ties into the fact that when Superboy's mentioned at the Justice League meetings, Superman kind of like looks a little bit uneasy, like he's not really accepted this shit, doesn't know how to deal with it. And I think I almost wonder if finding out that Lex is kind of part of his DNA is what kind of convinces Clark to like, I need to step in here and kind of like father him a little bit.
Yeah, he needs to kind of have that nurturing push.
Yeah.
And let's not forget the nicotine patches that Lex gives him.
Well, yeah, the patches that subdue the human parts of his DNA, so you'll have full Kryptonian powers for like an hour.
Yeah, so it's a cool concept.
But it also seems to make him angrier because he goes out of control and he's like almost about to kill the other one until someone stops him.
It is that human side of him that it gives him a lot of who he is, right?
Yeah.
Which,
I guess is a really interesting idea in that. Supergirl typically arrives to Earth later and is usually get more of a temper until she's been there for a while. And it makes you wonder, like, is Clark the way he is because he was nurtured from the get-go? Like, he doesn't have... Like, he theoretically should be as angry, but because he was raised with properly.
I bet he threw some crazy temper tantrums as a child.
Oh, maybe he did. Maybe he was throwing trucks in there and...
I bet.
Heat vision in the chickens... If they have chickens, I don't know if they have chickens.
How many fire extinguishers do you reckon the Kents had on hand?
Oh God, I know.
How did every room?
I feel it depends on the interpretation. I want to say the Kents are just crop farmers, but I'm not sure.
I always think of them as crop farmers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still, they might dabble in chickens as well. It's just
it wouldn't be surprising if they got some chickens on the side.
Yeah. Yeah, do you know, that's one of those weird things I never thought about as a kid, that different farms focus on different things. I think as a small child I just assumed they do all the farming things.
Yeah, even things like a dairy farm, with the cows. Yeah. They'll only have like one breed of cows still.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they focus in on one thing, their speciality. Yeah. I know, it's something whenever I thought of a farm, it's like, you've got the crops, and you've got the hen house, and you've got the barn, and you got all the things, but you don't. You focus because you don't have time to actually maintain all of it.
Oh. That bloody old McDonald lying to us all.
I know. You're full of shit.
It really is. That is the pinnacle of lying on your resume.
That and Santa Claus, just a lie. Sorry, kids.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, I tell a lie, kids. Santa Claus is real. He's just dead.
Yeah.
He's dead.
Yeah, none of these things annoy me as much as the alphabet books, though. They give you like an example for each letter.
Yeah.
And X is always a xylophone, but the picture isn't a xylophone. The picture is a glockenspiel, and it really annoys me.
Do you know, I really thought you were going to say, it doesn't start with an X. I'm like, yeah, it does. What are you talking about?
I know it does. But the picture they use is always a glockenspiel. Because one's metal, one's wood. And... They just always use the wrong one. I'm like, you are lying to kids from literally like as soon as you're starting to teach them.
No, they're close enough. They're the same family.
They're the same family, but they're not the same instrument.
They're chin percussion.
So's a piano.
Really, I'd have counted that more strings. The stringed instrument.
But because it depends on how it's formed. It's classed as percussion just as much because of the hammer is what causes the sound.
It's a hybrid. Well, it's funny because technically it's a stringed instrument because it is accomplished with strings, but you never think of it as being part of a string, like in the group. You never think of it. Oh, the piano goes with the string section of the orchestra. No, it doesn't. A piano is this weird thing that's on its own.
It is even in the layout of an orchestra. Like there is a defined layout to an orchestra.
Yeah.
It's not random. The piano is just kind of off on its own, doing its own thing. It's not with any of the other families.
Well, because as much as if you stop and think about it, it does sound like strings in a way, but it's got its own unique sound. It doesn't sound like any other stringed instrument. It does sound like a piano sounds like a piano. Whereas, a violin and a viola still sound alike, and a cello, different, levels of bass and whatnot, but they still sound alike. You still sounds like bowing or plucking,
but bone
depending.
strings, right?
Yeah. A guitar and a bass, one's much bassier, but it's the same principles.
It is. Whereas the piano is just, you got the piano family once you get into, the harpsichord and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But
much less common than the piano itself, obviously.
Well, it's pretty much dead these days.
Yeah. I feel like it's something like, a guitar's a stringed instrument, but again, it's kind of evolved to its own thing beyond the strings. You don't typically get one with an orchestra.
No,
not always. You can sometimes, just depending on what you're
doing. But rare.
Yeah. I feel like it's basically evolved into piano, guitar, and then by extension bass guitar and a drum kit, or like, okay, this is what popular music's made with, and then there's the orchestra which does everything else.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of how it's evolved. This is a weird tangent to go down.
Yeah, we've gone into a music lesson somehow.
So this is Young Justice. It was a good episode. I probably didn't love this one as much as some of the previous ones. I think Miss Martian one was pretty good last week. I really liked the Wally one. Running across the country a few episodes ago. It was solid. I'm curious to see what this Justice League stuff's building to, and so.
Yeah, and again, just in general, I like that. Okay, it's going down this route for Superboy as well, and it's like it's pushing back that stuff that that was how the show started with him, and it's like, oh no, look how far he's come. But it's still on that journey. He's not there yet.
Yeah. So there you go. That is Young Justice, which does take us to the end of the show, which is where we pick our favourite episode of the week out of the new releases. So we've got Legends, we've got Black Lightning, we've got Krypton. And theoretically, we have Arrow as well, but let's just rule that out right now. Yeah. So, what are you picking?
I don't know, it's another tough week, isn't it?
It's a very tough week. I actually think this Legends does not stand out as much, per se, as some of the previous ones that have really stood out. So I think Legends, for me, is the automatic not winner this week.
That's fair.
But then when I'm looking at the other two, I'm like, I don't know, I got really excited by Krypton this week, but Black Lightning had the really good drama stuff and the really touching little moments, which I think ultimately I will probably outweigh my excitement for the crazy Brainiac sci-fi stuff, even though I love it a lot. So I'm probably going with Black Lightning, but it's very.
That's fair. I think I'm going to give it to Krypton, not just for the excitement stuff, but just the actual. I'm really enjoying the world building of not as Krypton, but as a sci-fi world.
That's fair.
And I think it's doing a really strong job with that, so I'm enjoying it for that a lot.
Yeah. So there you go. And it helps, much like Black Lightning is different to the LCW shows, Krypton's different to the rest of them completely, because it's a sci-fi show set in a planet. It's doing its own thing. So there you go. And while I still think the main dude, Seg, is a bit bland, I feel like it didn't suffer as much for that this week, because there was less time for him to just be bland. It was too busy being,
He's very
proactive.
Reactionary. Yeah. He's reacting to the situation and playing off of everyone. But that might be the best role for him.
Yeah, he was too busy this week to actually stop and be bland, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he was always plotting.
Exactly. So there you go. That is this week's episode of Television from the Multiverse. Let us know what you thought of the episodes this week. Of course, we always like to hear. And obviously, check out Comics from the Multiverse, our DC Comics show or podcast that we do with Matt. We talk about the books every week if you're into the books. And you know what? If you've not read the comics, if you just watch the TV shows, try a comic book. Go to Comixology. You can get a digital comic for your tablet or whatever. You can read them.
I mean, we're happy to give specific recommendations if you have something in particular you're interested in.
Yeah. I think there's if you are enjoying Krypton, check out Superman Brainiac by Jeff Johns. I think that's the first thing you go to there. But no, so check out comics, because people should check out comics.
I mean, especially with that one, if you are looking at digital comics and you're looking at maybe for the first time you're enjoing these things, there's probably going to be a big Superman sale in a couple of weeks on Comixology. Because
Action Comics 1000 is coming out, so if you want Superman books, you'll get some cheap ones then. I mean, right now as we speak, it'll be done. You'll have maybe a day. If you get to this, if you're watching or listening to this, and as soon as it goes up, you'll have maybe about a day to get into the Joker sale that's on right now. That has some notable Batman stories that've got the Joker in it. They're on sale right now, for example. But check out some comics. So you can check us out on patreon.com/MelFuzzTV. There's a link in the description. It's worth going over there and checking it out. There's some bonus stuff. For our comic show, we have a monthly bonus episode in the $5 tier. The $1 tier gets you a few things early. Not this, because this is very timely. We try and put this out as soon as we've done it. But, some bonuses here or there, and you can feel warm and fuzzy inside. And if you use ad block, you don't have to feel guilty about using ad block. We can forgive you.
Yeah, we understand.
So, yeah. You can feel nice and fuzzy for supporting the channel and everything we do, including this show. Otherwise, like, subscribe, all the usual stuff that helps us out. And that's us. So thank you once again for keep watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching superhero TV shows, and always remember that sometimes we screw things up for the better.